Hi.
Hey.
First off, I just want to say how great of a job Dr. Mark A. Emmert has done as the new president of the NCAA. Dr. Emmert has had a very successful career as the president of Louisiana State and at his alma mater, Washington. He is truly leading the NCAA in the right direction, and I cannot thank him enough. The NCAA has done great things for their student athletes, but I am here to say that we have not done enough for these young men and women. We can all agree that the NCAA profits a lot from our student athletes. We can also agree that without them, there is not much need for us. Now, before you judge what I have to say, I ask that you listen with an open mind. The NCAA's total revenue for 2011-2012 was $871 million. Of that $871 million, 96% is distributed out to the Division I members. Texas alone had a total revenue of $170 million, and you can add that on to the amount that we, the NCAA, gave them from our revenue. Needless to say, these schools have plenty of money. These student athletes are bringing in a lot of money for our schools, and we are not acknowledging it. This brings me to why I'm here speaking to you today. How can we, the NCAA, reward these players for all that they have done for us? I have an answer, gentlemen, and it is simple. We need to increase the stipend for our athletes of profitable sports. I am not changing any current NCAA rules or suggesting that we pay our players annual salaries. By increasing the stipend for our athletes of profitable sorts, we are simply sharing profits these young men and women have helped us earn. We call our athletes student athletes to help justify not sharing the profits with them. We say they are students first and athletes second. However, in what way do we promote our athletes as students? Jalen Rose, former guard at the University of Michigan, wrote on Huffington Post, "For those who believe the NCAA stresses education over athletics, an athlete's scholarship can be taken away at any time regardless of your GPA. A player can have a 4.0 GPA, and the coach can decide that that player no longer fits the system. The school has the authority to revoke his scholarship, no matter how well the player performs in the classroom." That sounds to me like we're putting the importance on athletics and not education. Athletics is way too important to these schools to allow education to get in the way of that. Violations stemming from coaches to players have been brought forward over the past decade, indicating that education is second for these athletes. Derrick Rose, a point guard for the Chicago Bulls, played one season at the University of Memphis. After he declared for the draft, a story was leaked accusing Derrick Rose of academic fraud. The story ended up being true, and was later revealed that John Calipari knew of the incident. Derrick Rose did not get the required score on his ACT to attend Memphis. He then had someone take the test for him and received the required score. Derrick Rose led his team to the national championship that year, and Memphis saw its greatest spike in revenue. Derrick Rose's education was not first on his list, nor was it first on Memphis's list. Coach John Calipari left Memphis after that year and moved to Kentucky to begin recruiting the best athletes, not student athletes. His players come to play for 1 year and then leave to pursue their dream of becoming a professional athlete. This notion that their academics comes before athletics is a joke, and we need to stop using it to our advantage. These athletes are the source of all of this money, and we are hoarding it as if we are the ones people come to see. The NCAA is not the only company profiting from these players. EA Sports creates collegiate athletic video games such as NCAA football, NCAA March Madness, and even a collegiate baseball game. EA Sports is not allowed to use the names of the players in its video games. However, with modern technologies, the players in the game look like their respected athlete. Let's look at KU basketball as an example. When I went out and purchased the newest basketball edition of EA Sports collegiate video game, I was not buying the game to play with number 23. I bought the game because I wanted to play with KU's Ben McLemore. Number 23 on KU's roster looks and acts just like Ben McLemore. He shoots the same, dunks the way he dunks, and has the same skin tone, haircut, and height. How is it then that the NCAA and EA Sports can continue to not pay him for using him in their game? It is ridiculous. EA Sports pays professional athletes for being in their video games, and the only difference between the two is the name on the back of the jersey. Ben McLemore comes from a very poor family in St. Louis. His family had to choose between heating their home or food for the family. Ben McLemore had to make a decision that no 18-year-old should ever have to make. He had to forfeit his education and declare for the NBA in order to support his family. So that scholarship that KU offered him was meaningless because he could not afford to stay in school for 4 years. He made KU a lot of money in his 1 year on campus. People paid to watch him play, paid for his jersey, and he brought and attracted new fans to KU basketball. He is one of thousands of collegiate players in this situation, and this has been going on for decades. In ESPN's documentary, The Fab Five, we are introduced to the hardships of a collegiate athlete. I reference Jalen Rose because he speaks a lot about this issue and knows firsthand how the NCAA and individual schools profit directly from their athletes. He told a story about scrubbing together change in order to buy a couple tacos from Taco Bell. Meanwhile, on his walk there, he would see Michigan bookstores selling Fab Five apparel. Michigan was clearly profiting off Jalen Rose and his teammates, and these college athletes were not seeing any of the profits. The jersey sales and ticket sales skyrocketed the 2 seasons the Fab Fives were at Michigan. These guys were as popular as movie stars and ushered in a whole new era of basketball. Yet because he is a student athlete, Jalen did not see any of those profits and lived his 2 years at Michigan in poverty. And that disgusts me, and I hope it disgusts you as well. Here he is, making Michigan millions of dollars, yet he is collecting loose change to pay for his meals. I want to put those days behind us, and I want to move forward. I'm embracing Jalen's solution of raising the stipend and hope no more athletes have to go through what he and Ben went through. By not sharing with these athletes, we are putting them in a position to make bad decisions. Athletes have to revert to accepting money from boosters and agents to pay for their living expenses. Some even resort to selling drugs or other illegal means of income. 2 years ago, CCU saw just how bad this can get. Many players on its football team were arrested for selling drugs in order to make some extra cash. TCU had just entered the Big 12 Conference and saw a huge increase in its revenue due to new TV contracts and a greater opportunity in a BCS conference. Sharing these profits would have eliminated the need to earn extra cash and saved these players and TCU the embarrassment of the arrests. These athletes dedicate so much time to their teams and schools and need to be appropriately compensated. Raising the stipend for these athletes to $2,000 or $3,000 a semester will solve all of these problems. Adrian Peterson was asked by a Vikings reporter, Bob Sansevier, if college athletes should be paid, and I'm going to read his response now. I definitely think they should be paid a little more, some sort of monthly payment. Increases the stipend by $1,500 or $1,600, even more than that. College football programs make so much money, why not? Give these guys something to look forward to. Matt Khalil, the first-round draft pick of the Vikings, and he played at USC, said, maybe give them a bigger stipend, depending on the region they play football. I know at USC we got about $1,100 a month. We were paying rent close to $1,000 a month. That barely leaves money to get food or anything like that. I think that's why you see other college players getting money in violation of the rules. They need some money, they're not getting much support from home, so they need money to survive on their own. I hope now we can see the pattern that has been forming throughout this speech. These players are not asking for professional contracts. These players are simply asking for a bigger allowance. They're not asking a lot, especially for how much they give us in return. In a perfect world, a scholarship would be enough for these athletes, but as we all know, this is not a perfect world. Increase the stipend for these players, and those graduation rates will continue to rise, and education will no longer be thought of as second to athletics. Our athletes will want to stay in school and further their education. We recruit our athletes based on their athletic ability, not their academic ability. We keep or cut them based off their athletic ability, not their academic ability. We need to start paying them based on their academic or athletic ability, not their academic ability. The NCAA and its partners need to stop finding loopholes to make money off its athletes without sharing the profits. These athletes are in between a rock and a hard place, and the NCAA needs to be the solution, not the problem. I hope this has opened your eyes to the pitfalls in our system. This argument has gone back and forth long enough, and I hope I have showed you that we can indeed find some middle ground between our sides. Thank you for your time and attention.